the new lockdown isn't going to work, right? The first lockdown started at a time when infection rates were considerably lower than they are now. It was longer, it was stricter, and it had much broader public support than this one does. And the reason for that is that the efforts and the sacrifices that people around the UK made during that first lockdown were completely squandered by this government. They didn't use the time to build adequate testing capacity. They didn't use the time to build an effective contact tracing system. They didn't provide enough PPE to those who needed it. They didn't provide competent rules that we could all follow. It was all confused and gibberish. They stopped the lockdown too soon, and as soon as they stopped it, they started pushing people out the door to boost the economy. They didn't provide people with the financial support that they needed to get through the lockdown, and what little they did provide, they only provided when people were kicking and screaming and demanding it. They didn't come out and offer it until it was absolutely unthinkable that they wouldn't provide it because of the backlash. They didn't even, at the end of that first lockdown, give nurses a pay rise because they just figured they could get away with it. In terms of all the effort and sacrifice that we all made during that first lockdown, the government have taken all of that and just wasted it. They might as well have just ripped the Mona Lisa off the wall and used it to snort cocaine, right? Which is probably how you get into the Bullingdon Club. So the level of public support for this new lockdown is way, way, way lower. And that's totally understandable. Nobody has faith that this government is doing the right thing. Nobody has faith that this government is acting for the right reasons. And in the meantime, their incompetence has led to rising amounts of conspiracy theories. People I have respected for years are on Facebook spouting unscientific rubbish. And that's a shame because the global pandemic is real. Coronavirus is real and it is killing people and it's horrific, and we really do need to do something about it. And I'm not saying we need to follow specifically the things that Boris Johnson is saying, because as usual, they don't add up, they don't make sense, and in a lot of cases they won't even be effective. But we do need to take extreme measures to stop it spreading. Otherwise, this disease is going to kill thousands and thousands of people and most likely continue to mutate and become harder and harder to build a vaccine against. It'll become more deadly. It will potentially become more contagious. All sorts of things can go wrong if we don't do something about it. So I'm afraid to say we have to make yet more sacrifices and yet more hard and difficult decisions. But do remember that the reason for this latest round of sacrifices is not coronavirus. It is Boris Johnson and his government's incompetence, and they need to own up and take responsibility for that and, frankly, resign and get out of the way so that somebody competent, or at least half competent, can take over. And if you're out there thinking, well, it's difficult and he probably did the best he could, just have a look around the world at other places that have done so much better by listening to the science and taking things on board. And I'm very lucky that I have friends in the performing community all around the world. So I'm going to leave the last word to my friend Karlis Zaid, who's currently appearing in the musical Cats in Seoul in South Korea. And as you listen to him describing what's going on over there, remember, we could have had this. To put it into game show language, look at what we could have won. See you next week.
Ciao, chasayo, Kate, and anyone else who might be watching. Greetings from Seoul, South Korea. We've just gone to stage 1 restrictions here after opening Cats the Musical 6 weeks ago during stage 2 restrictions, which is awesome news because we've been playing at 60% capacity in a 1,000 seat approximately arena. And now we can open the house to 100% capacity. So what's the moral of the story? I guess it's basically just do everything that South Korea is doing, and it can be done. Okay, ciao ga.